At just about any Aussie barbecue, the conversation inevitably turns to our national sport, property, not Australian rules football. Yes, that's right, residential property. It's a rite of passage to be tucking into a burnt sausage in between Tip Top's finest with fountain barbecue sauce running down your cheek, complaining about how little Johnny is never going to own a home and how so-and-so down the road just sold their home for a record price. Cue the wow, unbelievable, I could have bought a house in 2010 for less than... Now, depending on whether you own property or not, it's a conversation that can make you despair. I should have bought that property in 2005. Jump for joy. Can you believe my home has gone up by $1 trillion? Or it can bore you to tears, listening to someone with a smug demeanour with their 5 investment properties. So when was the last time you thought logically about what causes residential property to grow in value? Most people certainly have an opinion on the state of the property market, and as a mortgage broker, it's a fascinating exercise to hear what people say at barbecues. Truth be told, it's usually some form of information they've gleaned from an article they read in that week's newspapers. If you're really honest with yourself though, despite what you think you know about property, deep down, you're like most people, still trying to find out what causes growth and where the next... Does that sound familiar? When someone does come along with a property portfolio, less than 1% of property investors have 5 or more properties. They are more likely to be a property collector and not a true property investor, having stumbled their way into a collection of properties through luck, good timing, and persistence. What about you? Would you like to be a property investor? Then read on, because what I'm about to reveal to you will give you great insights into the next hotspot. In this first of a 4-part series of what causes capital growth, I will outline what empirical evidence has proven as the 4 key growth drivers. Not opinion, not gut feel, not what the media has said, but hard facts. Infrastructure spending, the holy grail of property investment. Nothing drives property values like infrastructure spending, which generates economic activity, jobs growth, and ultimately demand for accommodation. The term infrastructure can cover many things, but I use it to paraphrase money spent on transport, medical, and educational facilities. Whilst not entirely responsible for the boom in Sydney's property prices, it's no coincidence that the Sydney market started to really take off shortly after the newly installed state government in 2012 announced New South Wales is open for business, rolling out massive infrastructure plans, the likes of which the city hasn't seen before. The $9 billion Northwest Rail Link, the $2.6 billion Northwest Connex Motorway, the second international airport, upgrading hospitals and so forth. By pure luck, yours truly bought an investment property in the then working class suburb of Homebush and have witnessed prices skyrocket as a result of the new $14.9 billion West Connex Road project. Look in the past decade to the various capital city property markets and you will see a positive correlation coefficient with infrastructure spending and property prices. The Perth market between 2006 and 2009 almost doubled the start of mining investment. The Darwin market almost caught Sydney, again mining investment, and so forth. Does this mean it's time to invest in Sydney? If you have read my previous article on the property clock, Sydney is not the place to be investing now. Sure, there will be a little bit of growth left, particularly at the perimeters of the city now as the earthquake effect rolls out to these outlying suburbs. Sydney has been percolating strongly for over 3 years, and history shows that eventually the Sydney market will begin a sideways movement as affordability restraints kick in. Now, are you ready to read about the heavyweight infrastructure capital of the country? If I were to tell you where the biggest infrastructure spending is going on at the moment, please promise me to look deeper into this market and forget your assumptions, what your well-meaning neighbour, family, friend said, and God forbid what the media is trying to get you scared of or excited about. Brisbane. The Queensland government has earmarked over $120 billion in spending, of which $60 billion is committed and funded. The good news is that the vast majority is being spent in Brisbane. At one stage, the total spending in Brisbane alone was more than the entire state of New South Wales. Does this mean you should dive right in? No. There are 3 more key macros drivers of capital growth I want you to know about, and you have to think about the difference it will make to your long-term capital growth. You see, Improving your capital growth from 5% per annum to 7% per annum over a 10-year period on a $500K property is a staggering $180,000. So next time you're at a barbecue and our national sport of property comes up, make sure you do an infrastructure sidestep on your way to scoring that winning acquisition.